Welcome back to I Now Pronounce You Divorce, Melone Hatley PC's podcast, where each week we take deep dives into issues that our clients and potential clients are going through. And one of the issues that we always notice clients and potential clients overlooking is their future. So at Melone Hatley PC, we work to protect your family, your finances, and your future. This podcast is really going to focus on finances and future. And so today I'm joined by Chris Rice. And we're going to be talking about what you need to start preparing as you're thinking about divorce, going through divorce, or just having completed divorce so you can start to move on with your life. So, Chris, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So, again, my name's Chris Rice. I'm with OVM with Annie Mac Home Mortgage. I've been in the mortgage industry since too long, 2005. Work with a lot of divorce clients or people going through separation and divorce, as well as obviously people buying homes or just refinancing. Love helping people out, helping them reach those dreams and, accomplish those goals.
We see commercials everywhere. I think it's Rocket Money, Credit Karma. A lot of people are starting to think about credit scores and how credit scores will impact their buying power in the future, but we don't see that so much in divorce. It doesn't seem like when you're going through divorce and your marriage is being ripped apart, your emotional ties are being torn down, that the first thing you think of is, I need to increase my credit score. So, can you talk to us why, when you're going through a major life change like divorce, it's so important to prioritize your credit score?
Yeah, absolutely. So, obviously, like you said, going through divorce or separation, it's a hugely emotional time, right? And yeah, credit may not be top of mind, but it absolutely should be, or at least near the top of your mind, right? And that's because credit really, truly impacts everything you have going on, right? Your ability to rent, your ability to buy a car, your ability to qualify for a mortgage, whether that's refinance your current home or buy the next home, or even get utilities in your name. I mean, divorce can lead to major life changes like refinancing or buying a home. But if your credit's taking a hit during, this process of getting a divorce or a separation, it can really affect you for years down the road and delay or derail that fresh start that you're looking for.
You also co-wrote a blog with us, and I think it's so important to really focus on, as I said, your finances and moving on in the future, right? So much of the problems that we see after divorce is done are the finances. And one of the things that you brought up is your divorce decree doesn't protect your credit, right? So you get a divorce decree that says, hey, you get to be single. You get to be single. This is when you're going to see the kids. Sell this house, sell that house. If you have joint credit card debt, try to pay it off within 6 months, generally, more or less. Can you explain why that's the case and how that catches people off guard when they go through the divorce and now realize there's no protections?
Yeah, I mean, so the divorce decree really is just a court order between you and your ex, right? The creditors don't know about it, don't honestly care about it. If the decree says your ex is responsible for, the car loan or the credit card or whatever, but it's a joint debt, well, guess what? If he decides or she decides to stop making those payments, it's still going to affect your credit score because you're still legally on that account and liable for that account. And that will in turn affect your credit score, right? Any lates on your credit is going to very much negatively affect your credit. So creditors really only care about the names on the account, not the terms of your divorce, right? So you can say all day long that, well, that's his or her responsibility. And yeah, it is. But as far as your credit score is concerned, it's still going to hurt.
With us today as a guest, we have Oliver Walmon. And Oliver is from the Fatherhood Fire Program with Child Development Resources. So Oliver, first, can you just introduce yourself and your organization and a little bit about what you all do?
Okay, my name is Oliver Walmon. I am the project director for the Fatherhood Fire Program. It is a program that's run from Child Development Resources. which we call CDR around here. So CDR has been an agency that has been around since 1960, and it started out dealing with just I'm sorry, it dealt with children from 0 to 5 and dealing with daycare issues and things of that nature. But it's grown into 11 departments, Fatherhood Fire being one of them. What we do is we do workshops for dads, for fathers, or father figures, grandfathers as well. And we provide them with support they need mentally. We also deal with physical support, whether it's dealing with workforce development or their educational and trade needs. We even provide barriers to work at times where we'll provide money that can buy them boots and tools. And we've even fixed a car at one point because that is a barrier to work. So we tend to do a lot, and it's all under that goal of making our fathers being more strategically supportive in making their family functional again.
That's awesome. So from your perspective or from your program's initiative, what are some of the more critical aspects of a father's role in a child's early development?
Well, we talk we talk a lot about father absence, and that's the problematic area that we feel that we have to deal with when dealing with fathers. So what is the opposite, or how do we combat father absence in a child's life? Well, it's father presence and father engagement. So that to us are the two most critical aspects in the development of children. Father absence is detrimental because it can negatively affect that child's development. When you're in this business, you learn a lot of statistics, so you know that there are, I believe it's 17.8 million children that do not have a father or father figure in their home.
Wow.
And that's nationally. And if you can throw numbers out, but what does that mean? That's twice the size of the population of New York City. That's 4 times the size of the population of Los Angeles. So when you take that into account, that is a huge number, 1 in 4 children. Virginia is the same. It's 1 in 4. So we're no different here. So the way to combat that, obviously, is through the father being actively involved and engaged in their children's lives. And we try to teach them how they can be engaged, even in the most negative situations.
I, as a father myself, I tend to believe that my presence is of utmost importance, but also as an attorney, I've seen dads go through the litigation process, and I don't want to say give up's not the right word, but they get beat down, and they don't know what the next step is when every single time they try to see their child, they try to take their son to a baseball game, mom and the court system and a guardian ad litem sitting there to smack them down. How do you help dads through that part?
Well, what we do is we've had a number of dads. There's a good percentage of our fathers that are not involved in their child's lives or going through different points in divorce. I'm a divorced father myself, so I speak from a little bit of experience. What the number one thing is that we tell these fathers is to focus on the child. Sometimes that's easier said than done. But then we say, well, focus on your child or children, but not on that tattered relationship. So the fathers who are experiencing negative relationships with their ex or dealing with dysfunctional co-parenting, we try to guide them to recognize their part in that dysfunctionality. We tell them things as simple as, okay, you broke up with your wife or your ex. Now it's time for you to break up again and away from her mentally. Because a lot of times these guys are sitting up there talking to them like we're still in a relationship. You have to do this. You're not giving me this in the way I need or, with my child. So you got to stop talking and treating your ex like she's still in a negative relationship with you. You have to mentally break up yourself from that relationship. You're no longer in a romantic partner relationship. You're in a co-parenting relationship, and the focus has to be on your child. And once they recognize that, the mindset and availability to remain involved in their children's lives tends to increase.
And today we're joined by 2 people, Jeff and Aaron. And Aaron, I'll let you introduce yourself first. Tell us a little bit about what you do, and then we can see what Jeff does.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. Great to be on the podcast with you guys. My name's Aaron. I work with Net Worth Realty. I am a licensed real estate agent here in Virginia Beach. New to the market. Opened the brokerage in September last year with a team of 4 guys. Now grew the team to 8 agents total, and we focus on distressed real estate. We purchase them using cash as is. More distressed, the better. And we rehab it and flip it back on the market for resale. Keep a few in our portfolio as well for rentals.
Absolutely. And Jeff, I know a little bit about you. I know a little bit what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do and what kind of, and how you help people?
And my name is Jeff Sodoma. I'm an estate planning attorney at Melone, Hatley, PC here in Virginia Beach, and been here a little while now. And basically what I try to do is help people plan before they have the need the documents that we're talking about, getting them set up with wills and trusts and things like that.
As my grandfather used to tell me all the time, proper planning prevents poor performance.
That's right.
And I think nowhere is that more true than in estate planning, right? We all know it's going to happen. I haven't found anybody yet that's beat death. So, planning properly does help you along. So one of the things that, as a divorce law firm that we ran into was, as a purely all-encompassing need, was when people were coming out of divorce, their life had changed significantly. They really needed estate planning documents. And so, with that in mind, Jeff, what are the most basic estate planning documents that somebody would need when they're kind of having a life change, not just divorce, but just any sort of change?
Well, I like to talk to people about the three main documents I like to talk to people about. Anybody over the age of 18 in Virginia and most other states really needs to think about having a will, having an advanced medical directive, and having a power of attorney. Sometimes some of the documents go by different names, but the gist is the same. Will talks about what happens to all your things, all the stuff that you own after you pass away. The advanced medical directive and the power of attorney talk about what happens to you and your affairs while you're still alive, but incapacitated. And incapacitated basically means not able to care for yourself.
And, the reason Aaron's here is one of the biggest assets we have is houses. And I think that it's one, I know sometimes, and I'm not trying to say that, I by any means have a palatial mansion, but sometimes you walk into your house and you forget just how much it's worth, like how much of a bank account it has become. So Aaron, can you kind of walk us through, especially with what you do, where you see mismanagement of assets meet the real estate market?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of it is just understanding, especially having the trust in place. A lot of the time, whenever you're dealing with a distressed property, most people don't even know, who's the next in line, who's the heir. And it gets really messy whenever you have multiple heirs to the estate. And then that's why it's really important to always work with a great estate attorney. I think it gets really messy whenever you have a lot of hands in the pot, and being able to refer to an attorney for that legal advice to a seller is really important, especially when they're dealing with an investor. That's why it helps to be fully licensed under a brokerage, know that you're working with somebody that's credible, but alongside with an attorney that's even more so credible to help with that transaction.
And Aaron, I want to stick with you because I know frequently what we run into, and I've seen it time and time again in estate planning, is you will have a bad plan. So maybe somebody does have a plan, but just not good. And now you have a piece of property sitting there where maybe taxes are lining up against it. People's mortgages are still piling up against it. It may be falling into ill repair as it sits there and waits for all this stuff to go through. How do people know that they're working with somebody they can trust?
Yeah, and that's a lot of the issue is that it's a competitive market anywhere you go in the US. You have a lot of people that are just professional real estate investors and then, claiming to be somebody that they're not, which usually is going to be an end buyer. So it's important to know that you do have proof of funds in place. Bring a few settlement statements of recent closings. My brokerage closes on anywhere between 10 to 15 properties per month, and being able to show that credibility, having your transactional, whoever's handling your accounting, I always tie that to my proof of funds letter for my buyer, who also is my broker. So having those documents in place is really important. The credibility, it can only go as far as the initial face-to-face meeting. And so I think that's most important. You're not doing business over the phone. It's at a kitchen table oftentimes, or out for lunch. A lot of the time family members come into town from out of state because they're trying to help their state and have all the meetings that they need to.
Today, we're super excited to be joined by Shauna Warden, somebody that I know what some of her services are. I don't know what everything is, but, she's a divorce coach, certified co-parenting coach, an author, and a podcast host.
Yeah, so I'm a divorce and co-parent coach. And so what that means, that's, my main hub of what I do. And so I meet with clients who are starting the divorce process or have already started, feeling overwhelmed, and I just help them organize their thoughts, organize their files, and be the person that they can talk to on a one-to-one personal basis to try to get the story out of them, to see what's holding you back, what would you like out of this divorce.
Today we're super excited to be joined by Shauna Warden, somebody that I know what some of her services are. I don't know what everything is, but she's a divorce coach, certified co-parenting coach, an author, and a podcast host. So only doing those 4 things, I'm sure you have plenty of free time.
Yeah.
Shauna, tell us a little bit about what you do, and if there's anything I missed, let us know that as well.
Yeah, I'm master of all trades, or no, jack of all trades, master of none, so to speak. But I like to keep busy, and I feel like every time, you work on one thing, it kind of gives you other ideas for other things. And so I kind of just keep going. But so I'm a divorce and co-parent coach. And so what that means, that's, my main hub of what I do. And so I meet with clients who are starting the divorce process or have already started and feeling overwhelmed, and I just help them organize their thoughts, organize their files, and be the person that they can talk to on a one-to-one personal basis, to try to get the story out of them, to see what's holding you back, what would you like out of this divorce, and then help them work both logistically through it and emotionally through it.
One of the things that as attorneys we focus on is, I know nobody wins in divorce, but we win, right? As attorneys, like, somebody's going to get primary physical custody, somebody might get to stay in the house, somebody's going to get the outcome they wanted versus the outcome somebody else didn't win. So how does a divorce coach really work with an attorney to improve the outcome or to have a successful outcome?
Yeah, so I think the biggest component of working alongside attorneys is that I can help the client with the emotional aspect of things. I'm sure you guys have seen plenty of clients that come in. They are overwhelmed. They're worrying about the wrong thing. They can't see the big picture. I like to help them get organized so that when they do get to you, their papers aren't all over the place. They're not scattered everywhere. And really just help you protect your time, the client's money, make the best use of that retainer, and help them prevent impulsive legal moves that might have, a detriment to their case in the long run.
Thank you for listening. If you like this episode, please hit like or subscribe and share it with your friends, because our goal is to try to provide as much information on divorce as we possibly can to help everyone to that next step in their life.
Give us a call and set up a free consultation with one of our client service coordinators today.